So, okay, so I have this little story about Matt because of yesterday, but I haven't here his bio. So he grew up in a small mountain town in Northern California. Guess where that is? Truckee. So shortly after high school, Truckee High School, a powerful experience with yoga meditation ignited within him a clarity and drive that would propel him out of substance abuse and depression and passionately onto a spiritual path. His first trip to India impacted him profoundly, and he continued to return year after year to live with, learn from, and serve alongside monks, yogis, and spiritual teachers. He's traveled and shared extensively the yogic tools and universal principles in which were impactful for him. Through the practice of mantra yoga, inspiration for his musical expression was born, which is through mantra, poetry, and personal experience to create a collaborative heart space of communion with the universe. So he'll be doing music this morning along with Subra Doyle. We're so happy to have Subra here. Colombe, Colombe. You spell it different. And they will all be here with Matt sharing music with us this morning. And so thank you that you're here. So Matt, you're on.
So I'm super humbled to be here. I haven't connected with this place in many years, and it's newly relocated. Well, it's been here for some years, but this new location is really beautiful, and I feel such a warm, welcoming, and open-hearted receptivity here. So grateful to be here with you all. Maybe we could all close our eyes just for a moment together and settle. And one of the lineages of yoga that really resonated with me, they recognize the breath as grace itself. So if we'd all like to reflect on that for a moment, that our breath is a gift of grace in itself. We are being breathed, as Nancy mentioned. This breath is bigger than our intention, our efforts. It's ever present. There's a principle in this life. These are words from a living master. The more you recognize the hand of grace, the more it arrives. And there's no end to it. So sometimes all of us have those moments where we don't see or feel grace. Life can be tough. But we always have the opportunity to come back to the breath. So let's start there together. In that we begin with fullness, and that fullness can grow limitlessly. We'll build this container together this morning from that space. Take a nice, long, slow, deep inhalation in, please. And big release. This next breath, let's breathe from the bottoms of our feet all the way to the crown, and then release nice and slow from the crown down. Let's Let's watch the breath go down into the earth through our feet, and then again invite it back up through the soles of our feet. And once again, release. And if we're grateful for anything that we've been blessed with this day, we've all acknowledged the breath already. If you'd like to extend that out a little bit more, we definitely have a room here, good company. We even have dogs here. We have warmth. We have conscious, open hearts. We'll be sharing sacred space with one another. We maybe have food in our bellies already. We have the gift of sound coming through our ears. This recognition of the gift, this recognition of grace can snowball when we reflect in acknowledgement for what is. So may the gratitude gardeners come fully online here this morning. We open to grace together into the unified field of consciousness, which we all breathe. And we open to the gifts of grace, that intelligence which is beyond what we might think we know or think we need. We open to the revelation of grace. Aho. And so it is. So we're going to start with a song. And this song's for my heart. And the lyrics, for me, open me to grace, to the next level. There'll also be some mantra also. So please, you have the printouts if you'd like to join me in the voice, or at least in the heart. We can make this song a prayer together. It'd be beautiful. This isn't a performance. This is a we thing. Oh, I offer myself to the flame in your holy name, to be burned away. Only divine remain. I offer myself into the sun, mighty Holy One. Illuminate your sons and your daughters this day. Oh,
supreme love, your holy sacred presence and ascended ones. I invite thee, we invoke thee, come, come and join us fully, and saturate each cell of our bodies, and rise up our vibrations, and bless all nations, divine love to all our relations, and divine love heals all, and divine love heals all, divine love heals all, divine love, divine love, oh. Satchitananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha Satchitananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Satchitananda, 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 Satchitananda,
and checking in with the breath. And if there's any gratitude in the heart, we acknowledge it here and now together in this unified sacred space that we share. Another principle from a living master. Grace, when witnessed, heard, read, or recounted, has the tendency to penetrate the lives who come into contact with it. I love that principle. I think we've all felt that, when you hear or see or read about an impactful, transformational, true experience for someone, whether it be from yesterday or more than 2,000 years ago, or being like Master Jesus, like Nancy mentioned. Such an impact was given, right? And that grace has touched millions and millions of people for now thousands of years. And it doesn't have to be some special person. Each of us is that unique intelligence of the heart, expressed only like you can. The more we acknowledge that truth, and it starts in our breath, in the presence, the more we recognize the uniqueness of our own living experience, here and now, over and again, the more we start to see that hand of grace. And the more we start to see that it's not just outside ourselves, in some special person or in some great master. And then that grace is weaving through our own life. It's present in our own body, breathing us. That's amazing. And the tricky part of the human experience is we can be forgetful, right? We can get caught up in life, in our responsibilities, in our works, in our intentions, in the curveballs, right? And all of a sudden we're caught up and outside of the living experience that's happening inside ourselves. Right? And very often when we're caught up like that, we're breathing shallowly, right? So, such a blessing to have a place and space like this, which is a foundation for us to continually remember, right? To continually check back in with. And we need that. We all need that. You know, often this spiritual journey is kind of sold as a very individual thing, which it is. We all have our personal practices. We have to wake up with ourselves every day, right? But we do need each other. Everything is interdependent in this life. Everything. This breath is breathing us all at the same time. How many hundreds of hands did it take to get some broccoli in your refrigerator so you could cook it and consume it, right? So this interdependency is grace in action. And the more we follow that thread, the more we see this holistic intelligence that is providing for us all. And the more we recognize that, like in the sacred words I just read, the more it arrives, the more we see it. And that's the growth in our spiritual journey, at least from my little perspective. It's simply recognizing what's already being provided. It's not some long destination that I got to go back to India again, you know. I got to fast for another, 10 days straight. Let's get a sock, And at least that's been part of my journey. It's like, oh man, things have got pretty simple in a lot of ways. Like, I'm either acknowledging what's here or I'm being just a little forgetful. So thank you all so much for being here with me and being open to listen to my sharing and receive it in your heart. May it be a blessing for you today. And special thanks to these beauties. Been super grateful to make music with their magic. So I want to share a couple impactful experiences for me, and then we'll go into another song. So, as Nancy mentioned, I grew up around here, and I remember just not being stoked on life from a very early age. In fact, my parents and I think my brother, I was referred to as Oscar the Grouch when I was a kid very often. I just had a scowl on my face, and I remember just feeling heavy. Like this life, not that stoked. Thank God for sports and being athletic and being in this amazing place. So I'd saturate myself in nature. I could swim, love swimming. But as I got older and as I realized that I have to be in school for so many more years, which felt like a prison, I got extra depressed. And so I'd say my baseline was depression. I'd wake up every day and not be happy to be awake, and I have to go to school again. And so when I found drugs and partying, that was liberation for me. That was liberation from the mundane path that I saw life as, which I could only see I have to go to school for like 10 more years straight. And then I started to, I had a biology class, I think in 6th or 7th grade. And the teacher brought to my attention everything we were impacting the environment with as humans. Like destroying our ecosystems, polluting the rivers, lakes. I wasn't aware of that because I grew up in Tahoe, so beautiful, But then I started to see, there was this big smokestack I remember I could see on the way to school every day. And there'd always be a big cloud over, oh. And then I'd start to look a little closer in the rivers, lakes, and streams, oh, God, there is some scum growing here and there. I got more depressed. I truly saw that us as a human species is on a runaway train, that we're not going towards a constructive direction. That's what I saw as a kid. And so when I discovered drugs and alcohol, it was just a liberation from what my reality and perception was seeing as life. It was not hopeful. Fast forward to when I was 20 years old, I'd been partying severely for about 7, 8 years, blackout drunk, hard drugs, selling drugs out of the little local Mexican food place. I met someone in Mexico who was a yoga teacher. And she just showed me 15 minutes of yoga. And then she sat me down on the beach afterwards. So just close your eyes and breathe. I was gone for 30 minutes. I opened my eyes and she's like, wow, it just happened for you, didn't it? I said, I don't know what happened, but I feel great. I've never felt sober and high like this, And I was hooked from that point. Jumped strong into yoga practice, meditations, reading everything from all the different traditions. Now I had a vision and went to India. Sat with my teacher for the first time. Closed my eyes amongst thousands of Indian people, wondering what I'm doing there. Closed my eyes, figure I'd open to it. Boom, I get hit with the most love I've ever felt in my life. I'd never felt love before, I realized, until I sat in the presence of some bearded guy who's way up on the stage I'd never met before. it hit me like a tidal wave. And suddenly I knew what God is. God is love. A couple weeks later, after we'd been reflecting, doing all these practices and things, in the middle of a lecture, one of the monks is lecturing, I go somewhere, and I'm quickly given a life review. My whole life in like 2-3 minutes. Everything. And I could see how God, which I just met, a couple weeks before, this loving intelligence, God was pulling the strings for every single situation in my life, especially the ghastly ones, the ones that made me depressed, the ones that made me sad, that gave me heartache, all the trials and tribulations. God was actually divine, and the divine was behind all those things, all to push me eventually to be in that room across the globe in India and to meet him personally for the first time. It was a him for me. It was a fatherly presence. It can show up in any way for any of us. Please don't get caught up in genders. We all know that by now. But I could see this fatherly, loving presence had been pulling the strings forever for me. And it was like a big joke, and I started just laughing. It's like, oh my gosh, the joke was on me. And I became so grateful at that moment. That was the birth of faith for me. Faith in something bigger than me. That I wasn't just alone. That none of us are. And that we're not on a runaway train to nowhere. There's an intelligence behind this. A couple days later, my mind fully stopped for the first time. I could see the one thing we need to surpass as human beings. There's only one thing. And that's the false identification in one moment that you are separate from everything else. And it's just this moment of a little story like, oh, Matthew's here. And then boom, separation consciousness is born. I'm alone. It's all about me. I need to protect myself. I need to take care of myself. I'm doing it on my own. Life becomes scary. And I was in that space for hours, and I saw that so clearly. And then I was shown that behind all of this, behind all of us, is just this one golden, loving light. And we are all a projection of it. And talk about just the ridiculous relaxation coming into the body for the first time. When the nervous system can relax like that, that knowingness comes online of the fundamental truth. That there's just one light of consciousness expressing through the many, and that's far out and freaking beautiful. And it has ups and downs, moves into different vibratory rates. Sometimes we do feel individual, and that's okay. That's when we can do our yoga practice. We can tend to maybe cleaning our bedrooms, fixing our cars. And then when it's time to expand, we sit down, connect with our breath, open to grace. That kundalini, or your energy in your body, your nervous system can relax. We expand. We start to move into oneness. This freedom of the spirit comes online. So this next song, we're gonna acknowledge and really call in these qualities or principles of the divine. Because like we talked about, this is kind of just a process and journey of remembering. Okay, it's all in our neurobiology already. But it's kind of our little work to bring it more online, more consciously online, right? And so let's do that together. Open to that? So start with a prayer in Sanskrit. If we can open our hearts to the power of we. Om Shrim Sarveshwaraya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Jyotishe Namaha. Om Shrim Param Premaye Namaha. Om Shrim Param Karunyaye Namaha. Om Shrim Param Pavitraye Namaha. Om. Salutations to the all that is. Salutations to the supreme light. Salutations to the supreme love. Salutations to the supreme compassion. And salutations to the supremely sacred. This is the truth of this life. Param Jyotishe Namo Namaha. Param Premaye Namo Namaha. Param Karunyaye Namo Namaha. Param Pavitraye Namo Namaha. Om Sarveshvaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Sarveshvaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Jyotirupaya Kalki Avatara. So fast forward, at least for myself in my own journey, about 10 years or so. I've been going to India every single year. Of course, family members, friends, everyone thought fully brainwashed, like I'm in a cult for sure, right? What have you done with your life? You're on the wrong path. All that adversity coming from the external world, which is often part of our initiation, right? As we dive deeper into our own truth. One of the lead monks calls me up one day. He says, bring all your stuff to Campus 1. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, just bring your stuff. And then hangs up on me. It's like, okay, that was very vague. I bring it over there, and he said, okay, we're going to put you in this dark room and throw away the key now. A shudder of deep fear goes through me. Like, what do you mean? At that point, I'd known all these amazing beings who I felt were Jedis to me for some years, so I trusted them enough to, like, okay, I'm going to go with it. They put me in the dark room. I hear the door lock. The shudder of fear, just scariest moment of my life. Like, I'm fully surrendering here, I'm in that dark room for like 5 days. After day 2.5 or so, I don't know, you have to be with yourself so much, right? There's not the external distractions in a space like that. Like, you actually have to really hang out with yourself, which is really one of the biggest challenges on this spiritual path for all of us. So the third eye comes online. I'm fully seeing like a blaring TV images nonstop. And the divine intelligence, which is always flowing through all of us, is just constantly giving me messages about what I need to see, what I need to see, what I need to see. Right? It's all about just simply seeing. The divine just wants us to see, wants us to acknowledge the truth. Not come to a conclusion, just see it. And the moment we see it, the moment our light of consciousness sees it, that's enough. Doesn't have to be some long, forgiving tale, condemnation, and the process can happen like that. And so I was seeing so much for these days. At a certain point, I woke up from this very lucid dream. I've been lucid dreaming very constantly for some years now. Woke up from this lucid dream. My teacher said, okay, let's finish this. My body got up automatically. I sat down, and I felt the energy raise in my spine to the crown of my head and then pour down the front. For the first time, I'd never felt the kundalini raise to the head and then pour down the front. I'd never had that experience. When that happened, everything went psh. Mind fully stopped. And I looked inside right here, and Shiva was sitting there. Completely colored form Shiva. And mind comes in for a moment. What are you doing here? Like, why are you here? I was shown my past lives where I was just a devotee of Shiva. That was just my path, We all have past lives where we had just certain relationships with the divine that were resonant with our heart. I was like, oh, that's why. And then suddenly, once I saw that image of Shiva shifted to my guru sitting on a white horse. I was like, oh, wow, it can change so quickly. And then psh, it went to light. And I was like, oh yeah, the divine is just the light. And when that teaching was given to me, I sat in complete peace for the first time in my life, for hours. There was nowhere to go after that. When we see the divine living in our own heart, there is nothing outside ourselves that we are dependent on. It is enough just to be exactly what we are. And that's why you'll see some of the yogis, they literally, their bodies are withering away, but they are in ananda. They are in complete bliss and fullness. because they're just in communion with their divine, their own heart. They've nestled so much into communion with oneself. And so I was reflecting a lot the last, actually, weeks about what I wanted to share in this talk and what's important and what's come to the forefront of what's important for me to share is this journey is all about the heart. After that experience in India, I was going into ecstatic states for months on end, but sometimes I was not very functional. I didn't want to hang out with friends. I was kind of going into that path of the monk, the renunciate, you know? At a certain point, I saw, this is cool. But I saw that also, if I come down into the heart, like that's where I can meet all the reflections of the one. And there is a freaking limitless potential for growth and evolution there. And that's the direction I was pointed. And so that's where I've been. I've kind of slowly been integrating back into the West. Here I am with all these we's. And I think what's most important, the fundamental principle of the heart is that I want to affirm for us here today. This manifested form of the human experience is the pure light of intelligent consciousness, a descending energy, if you will, in communion with a horizontal expression, which is the earth here now, which is our unique light, which is our unique gift, each of us, completely unique to you. When we settle into the dynamic of each of ourselves, which has so many layers and levels, we can't understand it. We can only see it and be willing to see it again. That light of consciousness and simply seeing from the light of what you are is always enough. The process of growth, healing, evolution happens automatically from the acknowledgement of where you already are. It happens automatically. I'll share the principle and words from a living master one more time, and we'll have one last song. This is my favorite teaching. Honesty is clarity, the clear perception of things as they are. Perception is attention, which throws all of its light on what is being observed. That light automatically transforms the observed. The light of the sun automatically, in its nature, encourages the growth of the earth, of the flower. It's the nature. And it's the same within each of us. This is the power of our conscious meditation practice, of really basking in our own light and creating that space for the witness to allow the seeing, to allow the truth of what's there. The content of that truth is not important. That light can simply be seeing that, oh, I'm just frustrated right now, and that's okay. Seeing it is enough. I was at a Unity church many years ago. I used to be so scared of speaking in public. It was the scariest thing. When it was prayer time, we were going around the circle. It was coming. I was getting nervous. Like, oh no, I have to say something. I'm spiritual at this point. I should be at peace and at ease. I want to say something deep, right? All the conditioned responses of the mind. I remembered that teaching. Honesty is clarity. The clear perception of things as they are. I'm going to embrace that. I'm just freaking fearful right now. I'm nervous. I embraced that nervousness for the first time. I saw it consciously. I embraced it. I accepted it. And boom, the thing transformed automatically. And I was like, oh my God, fear is the flip side of excitement. I'm actually just energized right now. I'm actually stoked to be with these people. I'm actually excited to talk. And my relationship with fear changed in that moment. So that's the power of what we already are in the moment we embrace ourselves where we're at. The content's not important. Seeing it with the light of truth, which we already are, does it all automatically. Thank you so much for hearing those words. We're going to sing one more song. This is a celebration song to the great provider, great mother. It's also a prayer. Let's pray together. As Nancy mentioned, with 3 or more gathered, our power is online exponentially. This is always a we thing.
Holy Spirit, Divine Mother, and love that holds us no matter. Holy Spirit, Divine Mother, and love that holds us no matter. White light, give her a life, the sweetest softness, mighty goddess. White light, and give her a life, the sweetest softness, mighty goddess. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Pachamama Jai. mother, a love that holds us. No matter what light, and give her a life, the sweetest softness, mighty goddess. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Bhagavati Jai. Mama Shakti Pachamama Jai.
I don't know. Oh, good. I'm on speaker again. That's very transformative. And really beautiful. Thank you so, so much, Matt. So appreciate it.